Get real. Get Amstrad.
Hello and welcome to Face to Face right here on Inside Sport, where we bring you up close and personal with all the newsmakers and the people, the men and the women who matter as far as the Indian Premier League is concerned. And cricket talks, we're going to have a lot of chat over the next half an hour or perhaps a little bit more, because right now I'm joined by a person all of you are very well aware of who exactly he is. Well, he's a big corporate. He's a top shot in the corporate world. And forget about that. He also happens to be a premier cricket enthusiast who stays awake late at night into the wee hours of the morning, catching up with the cricket from around the globe. He's none other than the co-owner of the Kings 11 Punjab, Ness Wadia. Ness, welcome to Face here on Inside Sport.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Thanks for having me.
How has it been the last few months? It's been very, very tough for everybody. How has it been for you?
It's been it's been tough in terms of COVID. You know, I'm intrigued and fascinated, and frankly, it's commendable how several leagues, whether it's the football league in Europe, football leagues in Europe, whether it's the basketball league, you know, NBA, which has some fantastic games going on at the moment. I mean, LeBron James, what more can you say? I mean, what a leader. Whether it's cricket, you know, hats off to England, the English Cricket Board for having West Indies, Pakistan, now Australia. It's incredible. It's been a difficult time. I think tennis is even going forward, French Open coming up, Italian Open on at the moment. You know, it's wonderful to see how the world is adjusting. And I think the most important thing is we must adjust, we must adapt, and we must go forward. You know, we cannot let this novel coronavirus beyond a point affect us. You know, there's no point of being scared and worried. We're going to have to live with it for a while. And I think it's unfortunate that some of the games like, you know, the Olympics in Tokyo, Japan got cancelled, but I can understand that 80 countries or 150 countries, God knows, I've lost track. But apart from that, it's been good. I mean, he's part of Kings 11, as you know. He's a very, very important part, an integral part. He was our captain. He's a wonderful human being, really wonderful, really nice. He does listen, unlike what most people think. And what a phenomenal player, you know, when he's in his element. And beautiful to watch. And I couldn't put the TV off. And then, you know, had my heart in my mouth because, you know, you wanted Australia to win because England has been winning so much. And obviously because of Glenn. And then had my heart in my mouth when Rashid Khan came on first ball.
Right.
And Maxwell, you know, tries to hit it and misses it. And the ball goes up and comes down. And then you think, okay, fine, 21 runs, 18 balls to go. He's not going to do the same thing again, right? And typical Maxwell, boom again, gets out. But listen, I mean, he's phenomenal. He's had 2 centuries in the last month. We're very lucky to have him. I think I'm so happy for him because, you know, it was a bit of an issue earlier when he played with Kings 11 for Australia. He was in and out, in and out. And I think once you give a player confidence, whoever that player might be, he or she, right, in any sport, it's all about confidence. It's all about momentum. And that's why, you know, it's really to take that energy and harness it forward. So very excited for Maxwell, very happy for him, man of the match, man of the series. Very excited for Kings 11 to be in, you know, UAE again. It's a good hunting ground.
Right.
Ecstatic that Anil is there and KL. I think KL is going to be fantastic. So I think, you know, get ready for some really power-packed Kings 11 showmanship in all aspects in batting and fielding and bowling.
Absolutely. We're going to talk more about cricket, more about the K connection, because there's a nice little thing going around in the Indian media circles that is it really Kings 11 Punjab or is it Kings 11 Karnataka? Because you dial K for Kumble, you dial K for KL Rahul. We're going to come back to all that. But first, let me take you back a few months. In early March 2020, just when you every other franchise, I mean, they were about to start preparing for the tournament, about to start selling tickets for people to come and watch. COVID-19 struck. Now, 6 months down the line, in spite of all the damage that COVID-19 has done across the world, across spheres, Indian cricket has shown its bravest front by hosting the IPL. As a co-owner of one of the renowned franchises there, Ness, are you relieved that finally it's happening, even though it's 6 months later, even though it's not in India? Are you relieved that the IPL is finally taking place?
You know, I think a lot of skeptics thought it would never take place. I was not one of those skeptics. I knew all along that it would happen. I have full faith in the BCCI and the IPL that it would happen. I think there were a lot of to and fro's with the ICC as well. I think there was accommodation which had to be given to them and to us. And yeah, I mean, I'm ecstatic that it's happening. I'm very happy that it's taking place in Dubai. It's a good hunting ground for us. And I really, truly believe that, you know, the BCCI gets a lot of stick, and so is the IPL. And I think, you know, one should, you know, there's a lot of negativity which people talk about BCCI and cricket, this and that. And I think, you know, one should, fine, it's okay to be negative in some things, but then at least applaud when people do positive things. And I think really, you know, I take a bow to the IPL, Saurav, you know, Jay Shah, Brijesh, all the others. I think it's just incredible. Hemang, you know, I mean, it's just incredible what they've done to pull it off. The safety and security protocols are amazing. The bubbles. We've had a lot to learn from other leagues, and they've learned.
Right.
So, you know, the biggest cricketing event goes on. The biggest cricketing event, which has influenced so much,
right,
so many franchises to, or so many sports to get involved and has a franchise model, is on the road again.
ये तो मेरी बात सुनती नहीं. Thank God Amstrad तो सुनता है. Put on the AC.
Right. So the IPL juggernaut rolls on, and it's a very commendable and a positive impact it's going to have as far as Indian cricket is concerned, in spite of what the naysayers might be saying. But again, sticking on to these issues, because more often than not, we talk to players, we talk to the cricketers, the coaches, and we know about the game. But you know, there is a big need as far as the business of sport is concerned, to understand how the teams, the franchisees, the owners, how do they look at these things? What is their perspective? Now, initially when it was announced, Ness, that the IPL would be played outside India, now, I know personally there was a sense of relief as far as the franchisees were concerned. And there was a feeling, I would say, if I could tell you, which I heard a few telling me that, you know what, something is better than nothing. At least the IPL would take place. What were your thoughts then? Were you bothered even once that the IPL is moving out of India, how it's going to happen? Or were you convinced even then that no, if the decision has been made, I'm sure we'll get a good, fine IPL taking place?
Listen, I mean, you know, the fact that it's happening, I think, is commendable. As I said, in every business, you have a good year and a bad year, and you know, an up and down. And I think this is one of those years where one has to look at the glass half full. You know, in anything in life, you should always look at it half full. And I think it's wonderful that it's happening. It's better that it's happening than it's not. You know, all the hoopla, the juggernaut goes on, and you know better than me, Sanjeev. You've been associated so long.
No way.
You know, there's so many things happening around IPL. You know, this year it's the sponsorship. Next year it might be something else. That's just what IPL brings. You know, it's a full. It
always keeps you on your toes. Whether you're the owner or a journalist, there are always new stories to find, new things to keep track of. But you know, having said that, personally for you and your other co-owners, what has been the biggest challenge for you as a franchise owner? And secondly, how difficult has it been till now to keep the players, the entire squad in confinement, quarantine, bio bubble, protocols, regular testing? How challenging has this been for you as a franchise owner?
Listen, I think it's commendable. Again, it's hats off to all the players, you know, and everyone who's associated with the players to stay in the bubble. It's incredible. I think once they go through the first few days, things settle down. Once they begin to play, listen, players want to play, staff want to support the players. So once the whole thing begins to go forward, which it has been now the last few weeks, we've been there since what is it? I mean, since the 20th or 21st of August,
Yeah.
it's flown. You know, it's the ball is rolling. Once the ball starts rolling, then things begin to fall into place. You know, it was evident that there would be some mishap or the other. Chennai unfortunately had it, and you know, everyone's going forward. So I think the ball keeps rolling.
Looking again, as I mentioned very cleverly and correctly at the beginning, so that you would know, talking about the business of cricket, you know, how much sort of an impact will this particular IPL, you don't have to give me a exact ballpark, but what sort of an impact will it have on your revenue? Because I mean, just look at one factor, if you could factor in, there won't be any crowds in the stadium. So obviously it affects your gate revenue. How do you plan to overcome it? Or do you think that you're going to take it on the chin because this is special trying circumstances? Corona has affected 2020. The most you can do is just have a good IPL and not think about revenue. How are you going to think about it?
Well, I mean, I've said all along, I think it's amazing that it's happening. It's better that it's happening than it's not. We have to accept the situation and move on. And like I said, you know, in some years you have, it's like the monsoon, right? Some years you have a good monsoon, agriculture goes up. Some years you have a bad monsoon, it goes down. That's the way the world is. You know, what comes up goes down, what goes down goes up. I'm not too concerned. I think, you know, it's not as bad as it could be. And I think, you know, I mean, that's all I have to say. I'm not worried. So you're taking it on the chin and moving on.
Fair enough. And I like the monsoon analogy which you said, which you gave rather. Pretty good to hear about that from a franchise owner. Now, personally speaking, not just you, but everybody, this applies to every other franchise owner. You guys, you cannot attend the games regularly as has been the norm every season. That's another factor you have to contend with. Maybe there would be a few franchise owners who are there already in UAE, but most of the others, you will have to contend yourself with watching it on television and at work or office or home.
Not really. I mean, yeah, it is a bit of a hurdle, you know, because one has to leave the country. But listen, even when you're in India, you're on a digital platform. So not much changes. Might be a little bit of an issue, but I don't see much of an issue. Number one. Number two is that we're not, I mean, listen, there are three bubbles from what I've heard and from what I've read. One is the players bubble, and any owner, you know, he or she can be in that bubble. If they want, they have to follow that protocol. I have not chosen to be in that bubble because I think I would prefer for the players to focus on their task. There's got so much on their plate. I don't want to take a risk. And, you know, I'm happy to just be in an outside situation as a fan, as a co-promoter, an owner. And then there's a third bubble of you know, BCCI and other people. But again, I think, you know, that the bubbles have been done well. I think there might be some hurdles, but it's great watching the game in person. I've always said that watching the game on TV is better because you can stop and pause and replay and all that. But you know, it's a different experience, Sanjeev. You know, it's going to be very interesting to be in a stadium, okay, when you're in a box and there's no fans around. I mean, it's quite intriguing, you know, which just means we're going to have to shout more, cheer more, scream more. I mean, you should have seen the Australians yesterday, you know, with the glass, banging the glass. I mean, at one point I thought the glass was going to fall down. You know, David Warner, Justin Langer, Aaron Finch. So listen, we have to adapt and adjust, and we'll do that. And, you know, it might be pretty peaceful actually from an owner's perspective, because a lot of owners, when you go, you have so many fans, you know, asking you things, wanting things. So it might be pretty peaceful from our perspective also.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And more relaxed, get to enjoy the game and focus more. Because when you're there with, you know, in your box in Punjab or you're in Mumbai, all the energy and people shouting, screaming, you know, friends talking to you. So here there's a restriction of 8 people. So it might actually be, it's a different experience. I wouldn't say it's better, I don't know, but a unique experience, more peaceful for sure, I would think.
How tough, personally, if I could ask you, how tough has it been dealing with sponsors? Have you had to strike hard bargains? Have there been hard renegotiations? A lot of sponsors, considering the market situation, how difficult has it been this time around? Not just for you, for every franchise to deal with sponsors.
I think it's for most of the franchises, some are obviously exceptions, but for most franchises, it's difficult to deal with sponsors every year. This year is a little bit more difficult, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's par for the course, you know. And I mean, if you go on a golf course, the same course is not the same every day. You know, it rains one day, the next day there's wind, the next day there's sun. It's like a cricket pitch, right? I mean, you know, one day the Australian team is scoring 308. The next day they can't score 221. So that's what happens, you know, that's the dynamics of life. And I think you just have to accept it and move on. Having said that, it's been a tough year. It's been a hit for everyone. But like I said, if IPL hadn't happened, then it would be a zero-sum game. So anything is better than zero, right?
Absolutely, and that's the reason. You know, I'm going to ask you about this. That the IPL, if you look at 2020, a lot industry across the world is suffering. Their work isn't slowed down, but cricket, I believe Indian cricket is showing the way. And brand IPL, I mean, forget the fact that it's not happening in India, but the fact that we are still going to have a full tournament brand IPL, perhaps, Ness, would you agree, is showing the way to the other industries too, and possibly making a very positive impact on the sentiment of Indian business leaders too?
Listen, you know, it's going to lift everyone. I think there's too much negativity out there with COVID and with so many other things going on. I think it's going to lift the sentiment. A lot of people have been cooped up in their homes. A lot of people have been scared to go out when they go out. Some people are ill. Some people have, you know, been in hospital. I mean, it's a difficult situation. I think I can't remember in my lifetime when it's been more difficult for the human being. So we all need upliftment. We all need our emotions to change. And I think it will definitely lift the sentiment. It'll make us lighter. It'll make us happier. It'll take our mind off certain things. It'll bring families together more, because everyone's going to watch the IPL, from the youngest kid to the oldest grandmother, grandfather. And that's what IPL brings, you know. So it's going to be really, to my mind, it's going to change the sentiment, be it with the Prime Minister, or be it down to the person who drives your car. Everyone's going to be watching. So, you know, the whole of India and the rest of the world is going to watch. I'm very excited. I'm really happy that it's happening. You know, it's going to be a very interesting next 60 odd days.
Absolutely. And now let's come back to your team and your cricket. And I must alert all those who are watching this interview with Ness Wadia. Guess what? Why do you think he keeps on mentioning Australia? I'm sure he likes all the cricket teams, but he, of course, is keeping a very close eye on Glenn Maxwell, the gentleman we call Mr. 360, because he is going to be the possible game changer as far as this particular team is concerned. Of course, Glenn Maxwell set to join, but tell me a little bit about the fact that you have got a couple of new faces, in the sense a new captain and a new coach. Anil Kumble, one of the biggest names, not just in Indian, but in world cricket, is going to be is coaching your team. And you've got KL Rahul, I would say the hottest property in Indian cricket at the moment as we speak, as your captain. Ness, how do you think this relationship, Rahul, Kumble, how much will this work out well, and how well will it benefit your team?
You know, on the first point of the Australians, just to be clear, my sister-in-law is half Australian. Her parents live in Perth. She's from Perth. My grandmother and grandfather immigrated to Australia many, many years ago. They lived there for the rest of their lives. Tom Moody was our first coach. Sean Marsh, okay, nothing more can be said about him. Still holds the fastest 1,000 runs. What a fantastic player, year one. You know, privileged to watch the Australians play cricket at the world stage. You know, I've grown up watching Dennis Lillee, Rodney Marsh, all that. They bring a lot to the game. Maxwell brings tremendous to the game, tremendous amounts to the game, and I think he's long overdue. And I think it's going to be a good year for him. As he said, you know, playing pace better, I have more confidence. And like I said, it's all about confidence. As far as Anil Kumble and KL Rahul, as you said, the Karnataka connection, it's good that they're from Karnataka. I think it's very important. I I think we've got a lot of wonderful players from Karnataka and across India and across the world. I think we've got an exceedingly well-balanced team, which with an exceedingly well-balanced director and coach in Anil Kumble, is his experience, his respect, his wisdom. I mean, listen, people used to tremble. Batsmen used to tremble when he'd bowl at Eden Gardens, if you recollect. I mean, it's phenomenal bowler, phenomenal leader, and a really, really nice person, humble, simple, to the point, very professional.
Right.
And Rahul, what can I say? Thank you, Bangalore, for giving him up. When Bangalore didn't retain him, I was like, okay. As you recollect, we went very, very strong for KL. Show me a more versatile player in Indian cricket at the moment. And I said this to him when I spoke to him recently. And, he's been through a lot last year with that unfortunate thing, like I think with Hardik, things got pushed out of proportion, but we all learned from our mistakes, all of us. And KL has been a phenomenal player. I thank Virat Kohli for guiding him, for giving him the opportunity in Bangalore. I mean, today he can open, he can go down to number 4, he can go down to number 6. At every point of that chain of the 11, he can score runs. He's got the same strike rate. He can wicket keep. He's a captain in the making. As he himself said recently, he said, I've watched Virat. I'm just thinking like a captain. And when you're a wicket keeper, you automatically think a lot. So it's going to be amazing. Our role is just to encourage him and give him more confidence. We have full faith in him. I think it's going to be really a very, very good combination of him, Anil. We've got a lot of other boys, young boys, whether it's a Bishnoi, whether it's Nicholas Puran, who I rate very, very highly, Mujib, Cottrell, who I love the way he does this. I mean, I've been watching Cottrell for a few years. Incredible. Brings the emotion. And of course, Chris Gale, so it's going to be interesting. And with Anil coming in, I think the whole thing comes together.
Absolutely. Anil Kumble has, throughout his career, be it as a player or as a coach, has always been up for challenges. Final couple of questions. Kings 11 Punjab, you've come very close a couple of times to winning the IPL, but along with the Delhi franchise, you're the only 2 teams who've never won the IPL. Tell me.
Bangalore's never won.
Bangalore's never won too. And the fact is, tell me, does it hurt that you are yet to win a title? And how hopeful are you this time that maybe it's close, we are there, almost there?
Life is about learning. Life is not about looking back. Life is about looking forward. One has to learn from their mistakes. One has to learn from why things happened. I think the first year was amazing. We were overconfident. We were down and out. I mean, we lost a few games, 2-3 games. Sean Marsh came in. I mean, he just took us away. We had Kumara Sangakkara, Mahela, Yuvraj, Brett Lee, Sri Sant, Sean Marsh, and we got bamboozled in the semi-final versus Chennai, which again was overconfidence. 2014, fantastic, reached the final. Viru was there. Maxwell got out early. I mean, Saha played phenomenally. Listen, it went down to the last over. Hindsight is 2020. As we all know, there's a lot of learning. We're looking forward. What's to not say that we'll win the next 2 out of the 3 IPLs? That'll catch up for.
I like the spirit. You're already mentioning. That's the sort of positivity, I'm sure, which is going to rub off on your team as well, along with the coaching staff and the management. Of course, we wish you to have a fantastic IPL. But a final word, it's already September till November, till just about Diwali time, IPL 2020. Then we are going to have IPL 2021 in March, April 2021. So do you think, talk me through this. Look at the mathematics. Do you think this will have a domino effect on how positively the market reacts to the IPL, considering you have such a big high value property, but that too playing out 2 editions within a period of 6 to 7 months? Do you think it will have a positive bearing on the next IPL too?
On the positive point, I mean, you're talking about the team that I'm positive. I think that's the positivity which KL brings, the confidence which Anil brings. You know, we don't believe that one superstar makes a team. And that's demonstrated by LeBron James in the LA Lakers. He went there, they had only him. Now they've got another few, many other players who support him or as good. I mean, his leadership has been tremendous. I was watching this morning and yesterday. I mean, shouting, screaming, charged at the players. So I think the positivity of KL and Anil will lift, all these players. It's never been about all the good men doing a good job. It's about those ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and that positivity will take the ordinary people and make them extraordinary. Coming to the absorption of cricket, there's never enough cricket. I think a lot of opportunity. We've talked many times as franchisees in IPL and BCCI about having 2 seasons, because we've also always felt that there's 10 months of the year having nothing is not good. I don't think there's going to be any absorption issue. I think it's going to be appreciated by the fans. I think cricket is going to be bigger than ever. It's growing bigger than ever. It's going to have great viewership. I mean, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when IPL, or 13 years ago now when IPL started, I mean, 5-day matches were dying, 1-day matches were dying. Came T20, everyone said cricket's dead. I mean, cricket's never been more alive. Okay, it's fantastic. The amount of players who have an opportunity as a profession, the amount of sponsors who now have an opportunity. I mean, remember that IPL deals with and cricket deals with about 25 to 30% of the entire sponsorship in the whole of India, all advertising, marketing spend. So, it needs to be reckoned with. And I don't think it's an issue. Unfortunately, I do believe that COVID is going to continue for a while. But I do also believe that, cricket will help us and take our mind off things, and looking forward to an IPL 14 sooner than later.
Absolutely. It's always been wonderful speaking to you. And the fact that there's so much of positivity considering the circumstances. And we come across many people, be it in cricket or other sport, who sometimes get bogged down by the situation. But this is something I've observed in you over the years, Ness, that whenever it is and wherever you are in whatever shape or form your team might be in, you always have this positive bearing. May this positivity certainly shine on your team, rub off on your team and the other teams. Let's have a great and exciting IPL. And I wish you all the best and your team. Let's see who wins.
Thank you, Sanjeev. I think life throws us many lessons, many negative things. And at the end of the day, you have to keep going forward, have confidence in yourself and be positive and learn from the mistakes you make. So I hope it's going to be a good one. I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to Kings 11 being definitely, in the top 4. So anything can happen from there. So thank you for your time, my friend. It's a pleasure to speak to you. I wish everyone in Inside Sports and everything you're doing all the best, and enjoy the IPL as so will I.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Ness Wadia.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
ये तो मेरी बात सुनती नहीं. Thank God Amstrad तो सुनता है. Put on the AC.